So today we're going to be using the new Testo 560i scale and smart valve, and this all pairs up together with your 557S or 550S manifold. Now you can also look at this through the Testo Smart app, and we're gonna do a couple things here and try this out. So one thing that you got to do is, if you haven't done this already, or if you have an older manifold that didn't come with the scale, you didn't purchase it with the scale, you have to update the measuring mode so that the measuring mode is loaded into the manifold. And the way you do that is through the app. You got to connect to the app and make sure it's on auto update, which I've done, and then we go through an update and make sure that mode loads up into the manifold. After you get your update done, you're going to want to go into the measuring mode here, and if we scroll to the bottom, we've now added a measuring mode. It's called Refrigerant Filling. So when we tap on that, we're going to go into manual, automatic charging by superheat, automatic charging by subcooling. Today we're going to do automatic charging by subcooling. We're going to aim for about 10 degrees of subcooling when we charge this thing up. So we're going to go down to that. We're going to pick it, and we are going to start setting up our manifold to charge automatically 10 degrees of subcooling. And obviously we have to use our temperature probes on our liquid line to do that, but we'll also monitor our superheat as well. So let's go through our configuration screen real quick. Here is our low and high pressure. Okay, the manifold is picking up. We are dealing with some 410A. This is kind of for safety reasons. The maximum charge that's manually inputted is 2.2 pounds. So let's say we don't get to 10 degrees of subcooling. It will only put in 2.2 pounds of refrigerant, because the last thing we want to do is overfill this system. So that's kind of like a safety feature that I really like, actually. And then we've put in our target subcool at 10 degrees. Okay, so we're going to come out of this now and show you the next screen. So we've just turned the system on and it's running. Okay, so here's what our screen looks like. We have our pressures, we got our temperatures, our superheat, our subcooling. We have our starting subcooling, and our target amount charge is 0 because we haven't hit the start button yet. First, what we're going to do is just purge all the air out of all these lines and make sure that we're only putting refrigerant into the system. Then we're going to hit the start button and take it from there. Now, if you want to purge the valve, if you want to purge your lines out, the best way and the easiest way to do this is to take the button and you tap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. It opens up and you can purge your lines out. You can do it a couple times if you want to make sure you want to get all the air out. 1, 2, 3, and it opens up for 1 second or so and it will purge through. So now we are charging. Okay, so we've added 0.14 pounds. Okay, our target is 10 degrees of superheat. So from my understanding, it pulses in the refrigerant, so we're not adding too much at a time. And as we showed you before, our max fill, or our safety, as what we've pointed out, is just over 2 pounds. So it won't fill over 2 pounds, but it'll try to reach our target here. Okay, so here we are at 0.84 pounds. Subcooling is up to 4.2, and our low side pressure is coming up. Our superheat is dropping, and obviously with our pressure coming up, our evaporator temperature is coming up. Right now we're pulsing in, so you can see how that's going. So I was just playing around with this, so I shut it off and did a restart. That's why you see our start subcooling is at 3.5. So we are still trying to reach our target here, adding refrigerant. We are at 3.9-ish degrees of subcooling. 10's our target, and we're at about 24 degrees of superheat, and our system is running nicely now. We're at about 77 degrees inside temp. So we're gonna have an evaporator temperature that's probably in the low to mid 40s once we're finished up here. So let's let this fill and see how it is after we reach our 10 degrees. But if I see that we're getting close to where we should be, I might cut this a little bit sooner. So we reached our 10 degrees, but I still think that we need a little bit more in here because we are still at around 76 in the home, and our evaporator temperature is falling. Like I said, it should be somewhere in the low to mid 40s at that temperature. So I went in and I changed the target to 11.1. It just finished filling there, auto filling, and that's why you saw the pressures moving. So I think once we get up to around 11 or so, I think we'll be right there in the sweet spot, and I think we'll be doing quite well. So our charging stopped once we hit our target. We are sort of equalizing out a little bit. We've added almost 2.5 pounds of refrigerant. The house is coming down in temperature. We're at now 74 degrees and set point is 73. We're almost at set point, and our evaporator is like bang on 40 degrees. So I think that I'm just going to watch this run for a bit, but I'm really impressed with this whole setup. I mean, it was super simple to get this thing going. There's a little bit of ins and outs to it. You probably got to read the manuals and stuff like that just to make sure you have it all set up. But once it was set up, literally you could walk away and let this thing charge. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend watching it. But I've walked away a few times and came back, and it was doing its thing, charging automatically. And because we had that safety set up for just over 2 pounds, it wasn't going to add more than that anyway. So we're going to watch this thing run for a bit, but I think I'm sold on this. It's a really cool product. I like it a lot. And check it out, guys. It's the Testo 560i scale and smart valve. Happy HVACing.